It's been a staple fixture at the start of every match in the Premier League for the last 2 seasons, the controversial gesture taking the knee. But today, Premier League captains announced from the start of this season players will no longer routinely do it. English players decided to make that ritualised gesture in response to demands from the now partially, I think it's fair to say, discredited BLM movement in America. Well, we're joined by the author, Nick Buckley. Very shortly, we're going to be joined by the author Nick Buckley as we try and tinker with the line. Let me just turn to Tim Montgomery to tee this one up, and I'll let you know, because you may not know, and our viewers and listeners will know to some degree. Nick Buckley, as much as anybody I know, has taken a one-man stand against taking the knee. He went to, I think it was a Manchester City match some months ago, and when they did it, he stood up, surrounded by a sea of scores of people, and started booing, because he thinks that was the right thing to do. And you can imagine people looking around, incomprehending.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think I would go as far as booing, but I think that's slightly disrespectful to the players. But I never support...
It's a football stadium, Tim. It's a football stadium.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
People are meant to boo and shout. It's where you go to do that.
I think taking the knee, though, I didn't like. And I was a season ticket holder at Old Trafford for a number of years. And I remember we used to have this big banner that the crowd used to carry aloft for kick out racism, if you remember that campaign. I can't remember one person I knew or a commentator objecting to that message. And I think a lot of people did very reasonably object to the taking the knee thing for all sorts of reasons. But as you say, you called it partially discredited, the Black Lives Matter movement. I would say it was totally discredited now. The movement, some of the leaders have taken money out for massive personal gain. And you look now, after the George Floyd killing, the murder, which was obviously an outrage, the withdrawal of the police from a number of American cities in response, because they're frightened of being accused of racism, particularly in places like Chicago, the number of black Americans who are now dying because of the withdrawal of the police, because of what essentially the Black Lives Matter movement called for, has been huge. So it's an absolutely failed organisation. It's been counterproductive, and I wouldn't bow the knee to them for a second.
Let's go back to Nick Buckley. I think we've made the line work. Nick, welcome to you. I may have mischaracterised your football affiliations. I said you were a Man City fan.
No, I'm a small Manchester United fan.
That's it.
Too many of us.
You're glad to see the back of taking the knee?
Oh, absolutely. It's taken 2 years. It's 2 years too long. It never should have started. It started because the FA and the players are basically cowards and never understood why they were taking a knee in the first place. And now they're having to back down. And I believe they're backing down because we've got the World Cup coming up this winter. And the FA were embarrassed last year when English fans were booing the taking of the knee during the Euros. And I don't think they want that again. This is the first step in that back down.
I was just telling Tim Montgomery, who's my studio guest, Nick, that when you did stand up and you were sort of, I think, as you told the story, you were pretty much a lone voice against this gesture. Have you been surprised by how few people have been prepared to take a stand against what everybody in officialdom was telling them to do, ordering them to do, it felt like?
And this is what's wrong with most of our social problems in our society. It's cowardice. These fans were bullied into being silent. Hardly anybody wanted the taking of the knee. And people booed at the beginning. But they were bullied into silence and they accepted that. But what's changed this was the Euros last year. So to all those fans out there who didn't like it and never booed, or the fans who used to boo and have stopped now, this would have stopped a lot sooner if you'd have manned up and carried on booing. This would have ended a long time ago.
Nick, you've heard the other side of this story. You've heard people from Sky Sports or wherever it is, the FA, saying, hang on a minute, this has got nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. This is about a broad expression of anti-racism.
What a load of rubbish. They had Black Lives Matter printed on their shirts for the first season. A lot of the stadiums' signage had Black Lives Matter on it. The taking of knee is directly related to Black Lives Matter. And everybody knows and talks about Black Lives Matter when they do it. It's a bit like let's save puppies from being abused by doing a Nazi salute and then telling people it's got nothing to do with Nazis, though.
Nick, we're going to leave it there, but you've had a lot to say on this story over time, and yours has been at times a lonely voice, and one I'm keen to share. So thanks for it, Nick Buckley there.